Hello friends, welcome to the official YouTube page of Everest IAS Academy. So today we are going to discuss January 2020 Hindi newspaper analysis from the UPSC Prelims 2020 point of view. So the first article which came in the headlines is Center for Tougher Law Against Sexual Harassment at Work. So basically what happened is that we have already a law with respect to the sexual harassment at work, friends, and that law was passed in 2013, and that for that actually a new committee has been appointed headed by a group of ministers headed by Amit Shah. So basically they have recommended some changes to it to this 2013 act. So that's what this article is all about. From the prelims point of view, we should understand the basics of sexual harassment at workplace in 2013, that act. So basically what happens is that, friends, this act is applicable to government officers and even private sector, NGOs and unorganized sector. So all this will be covered under this sexual harassment of women at workplace, and this act actually was based on basically a Supreme Court judgment is there, and that judgment was delivered in 1997, and the famous judgment is named after Vishaka, that is actually a civil society group which has filed a petition, so it has been named as Vishakaguidelines. So basically what this Vishakaguidelines is saying means, so every company or employer should actually, they should be responsible to prevent this act at the workplace. So basically it has made some set of regulations, and it has defined the like what is sexual harassment very detailedly. We will discuss that also, friends. So basically one of the flaw which we found in the 2013 act is that so every company is actually required to set up an internal compliance committee at the workplace. So that will consist of 10 or more workers. So when a woman is actually complaining means they can approach this internal compliance committee. So they were given some powers like civil court. So basically what happened is that when we give some like powers like civil court, what the critics have said means, since they don't come from any legal background or law background, so it is considered to be waste. That's what the experts have said. And in addition, it has only imposed a fine of rupees 50,000 on private organizations if they are not appointing this committee, and that is also considered to be low. So we have made some changes in this. And one more, friends, if you see the provisions of the bill, actually this internal compliance committee is the main provision. This will be set at the private organization's workplace. And at the district level, if you see, there will be a committee called local compliance committee. It will be set up at district as well as block levels, and that will be actually monitored by the district collector or a deputy collector. So he will monitor this local compliance committee, and in the private organization, internal compliance committee will be set up. So this is how it functions. As we have discussed, it consists of 10 or more employees basically, and they will initially try to reach a conciliation, like some negotiations will be the first they will try to make before like going and approaching the police under IPC section. So one more thing is, as we have discussed, non-compliance will attract a fine of rupees 50,000. And one biggest problem what they have found is the bill has not actually clearly demarcated. In the 2013 act, it was not very clear about the compositions or like what are the exact functions they will do and how much jurisdiction they have. They were not at all clear, and that they have rectified in the recent like this group of committee recommendations. And one more thing is, domestic workers were actually excluded in the previous bill, and one more thing is, men were also not protected under the bill. So if you see the famous guidelines, that is the Vishaka guidelines, what happened is that in 1997 in the state of Rajasthan, what happened, there was actually a woman, actually his name was Babri Devi. So she actually went and approached us. There was a child marriage which was happened at that time in the state of Rajasthan, and this Babri Devi, she went and actually tried to prevent the child marriage in her place. That time, since that time patriarchal notions were very high in the state of Rajasthan, what happened, they actually raped the girl repeatedly. So that time civil society, and part of that it filed a petition in the Supreme Court in 1997, and Supreme Court has delivered a judgment, and that's a famous judgment which has been named as Vishaka Guidelines or Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan 1997. So this is one of the like landmark judgment regarding sexual harassment at workplace. That time only it has defined what is the definition for exact sexual harassment. So what it is saying, it is not just a physical contact a man makes, that only will not come as sexual harassment. It also includes, suppose a person is actually demanding or requesting for sexual favors, or if he is making any sexually colored remarks, or any showing any pornographic materials, or even if he is showing any like verbally or non-verbally, if he is showing any symbolic context, all these will be included under sexual harassment, and a woman can do a complaint under this internal working compliance committee. So next article is lone rare migratory eagle sighted in Andhra Pradesh. Basically, friends, this steppeeagle they will say. So this comes under the endangered status in the IUCN, and it is actually a migratory bird. So basically they will migrate to India during a particular season, and that's what they have actually in the state of actually Andhra Pradesh in Vijayawada they have done this Asian water bird census. Basically what happens is that this water bird census was started in 1987, Asian water bird census. Here citizens from across the country and across the world they will come and participate, and it is like any person can just like collect the data of the birds present in that area and they can report it. That's why it's called a citizen science program. So basically they will try to assess the birds population in the wetlands. So through this they will try to see the health of the wetlands. Suppose if more birds are there, means the health of the wetlands is very good. That is the basically this objective behind this Asian water bird census. As part of that, when we done this exercise in Vijayawada, we were trying to notice this particular bird, that is the steppeeagle, which is considered to be in the IUCN. It is placed in the endangered status. Kindly remember this, friends. In prelims they will surely ask these kind of basic facts in environment. And one more thing is, it comes under the migratory bird status in India. So since it is also found in Rajasthan, like Russia, Kazakhstan and Mongolia. In India it is usually found in Rajasthan only. Basically if you see the habitat distribution, means they will be found only in the dry habitat. Since the name itself is steppe region usually will have a semi-arid climate. This we might have discussed, like we might have studied in our geography, friends. So basically there will be a sense of semi-arid condition will prevail, like a desert condition or semi-desert conditions. So on even savannas or steppes region also these birds will be found. So one particular problem in case of India, what these steppeagles face is like when they actually try to consume like dead cattle. So basically when a dead cattle is found, what happens for the cattle, usually what happens is that to have lesser pain, what will happen, we usually give one drug which is called as diclofenac, and this drug will be found in the dead actually carcasses of the cattle, and these dead cattle will be fed by these eagles, and once they consume that, it will go and affect their kidneys. So that is the main problem, and they will die because of this diclofenac drug. As we have discussed, it comes under the status of endangered status. Next article is 146 endangered irrawaddy dolphins sighted in Chilika. Friends, kindly remember these kind of dolphins are usually very important under the environmental section for prelims, friends. So basically what happened is that we have actually surveyed the total number of dolphins which are found in Chilika Lake, especially these irrawaddy dolphins. There is some basic difference between irrawaddy dolphins and other dolphins. What is the difference means, if you see a normal dolphin, it will be like a V-shaped, like that mouth will be there, so blowholes they will say, but in case of irrawaddy dolphin it will be a U-shaped blowholes will be present. That is the basic way we try to differentiate irrawaddy dolphins from other dolphins, and its status is also similarly placed as endangered status, and this is also very important for prelims, friends. And if you see their distribution, basically they are like Eurohaline species, which means haline means salinity, so they will be found in like varieties of salinity conditions. So salinity conditions are there, means there usually these irrawaddy dolphins will be found, and moreover not only in sea, they will be found along the coastal regions also. That's why they have found this in Chilika Lake near this, which is considered to be a lagoon. And what are the major problems these irrawaddy dolphins face across the world? If you see, friends, so two major problems only. First thing, if you see, primary problem means like fishermen, when they fish using these gill nets, they will say they will get caught and they will get died. Second thing is destruction of habitat, and this destruction of habitat will happen because of pollution or due to usage of explosives. Basically they will do this for catching fishes, and even like if you see when in Laos country, if you see, this is a Southeast Asian country where they are actually doing the dam construction. That time also they will blast these explosives, and that in turn will affect the movement of these dolphins, and they will try to shift the habitat. So these are the major problems these irrawaddy dolphins face across the world. Next article is why Make in India has failed. Basically this is actually an opinion page article which came in the Hindu. Here the author is mainly discussing why the Make in India has failed. But if you see, friends, this Make in India initiative was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi government during the BJP 1 phase. That is the first phase of the BJP 1 government. That time like NDA government phase 1. That time this scheme was implemented, and this was actually considered to be one of the most visionary scheme of our Narendra Modi government. That time we have actually planned to make India as a global manufacturing hub. So for that we made 3 main objectives under the scheme. So first objective is we wanted to increase the manufacturing sector's growth rate at least 12 to 14% every year. And second thing is we wanted to create like 10 crore jobs in the manufacturing sector, that is within a period of 8 years. By 2022, if you see, we have to create this 10 crore jobs in manufacturing sector, and like manufacturing sector's GDP also we wanted to increase to 25%. At present it is only 16%. By 2022 we wanted to achieve this. So the author is critically assessing now, like the government has actually failed in all the 3 counts. So why he is saying means because of so many reasons. One of the main reason what he is saying means because of the slowdown in the like happening in the country. That is the major factor which has led to like created complications for this Make in India. In addition, there were some other reasons he is discussing. So what are those means? If you see means, this Make in India scheme has actually, it has been designed based upon the like investment we actually dependent upon the foreign investors, and initially we had lot of FDI which came into our Indian economy. But now what happened after a point of time, like we faced some problems regarding to that, as because the world has been also faced by this slowdown condition. And one more thing is what happened is that the policy makers also failed in the implementation phase. Why? Because that Make in India scheme actually, they actually visualized the scheme at the wrong time, he is saying, because world only was affected by this crucial phase of slowdown, and when that time we actually went for this program. So the timing is very bad. That's what this author is saying. And in addition, if you see friends, the government during the implementation phase, the government actually did not initially went for like preparing the base work, groundwork it didn't prepare. All of a sudden it went for this scheme. Why? Because under the scheme we need some 4 pillars were actually we did. Because for any manufacturing sector like Make in India to be successful, we need a good infrastructure development should be there in our country. And for that we didn't do any basic groundwork. That's why this author is saying our government just went for policy casualness. So I like it was saying like it was an underprepared initiative from our government of India. In addition, it has included around 25 sectors. In manufacturing only, it targeted so many sectors. That's why it has went for loss of policy focus. If we would have targeted few sectors in manufacturing in particular, we would have excelled. That's what this author is saying. And as we have discussed, the global economy also, like and the timing in which this Make in India scheme was launched also was a flawed decision, this author is saying. Under the Make in India, actually, we targeted 4 main pillars. What we did is, initially, we actually de-licensed or deregulated the sector, so that business environment can, especially the private sector, we wanted to come and have a partnership with the government in doing this Make in India scheme. So we deregulated the sector so that business environment can work very properly. Second, under the infrastructure development, we actually planned for developing industrial corridors and very good logistical arrangements also we planned. And second, under the sectors we targeted 25 sectors. That's a problem we faced, friends, because too many sectors we targeted and we failed because there was no policy focus. And the final thing is we also made government to be a role of facilitator rather than a regulator, because we deregularized many of the sectors. And one of the slogan we launched under the Make in India scheme is zero defect, zero effect, which means whatever Narendra Modi government has said that we wanted to manufacturing goods which will not have any defect and there is no any effect upon the environment. So it is considered to be environmental friendly. Like that we have targeted the scheme, and as of now, according to the author, this Make in India scheme has been actually a failed scheme. Next article is for Bruce, a permanent scheme. Friends, basically, if you see this Bruce community, they actually initially resided in Mizoram, in the state of Mizoram. What happened at that time during the year of 1997, there was indigenous Mizo communities who were ethnic communities who were considered to be large in population in the state of Mizoram. And these communities, Bru community, their other name is Rayang communities, and they were actually considered to be minorities. So during 1997, there led to some violent clashes between these two communities, and at that time, Brus were forced to migrate to neighboring states. So they went and actually settled in Tirupura region. That time actually they went and settled in the rehabilitation camps. From that time period onwards, we were actually doing this negotiation, and this negotiation has been completed very recently only in 2020. This week only we have done this agreement. So now what happens is that as part of that agreement, so actually at that time if you see 40,000 people came and settled in Tirupura. Out of the 40,000 communities, 5,000 communities actually they went and settled in Mizoram. Remaining vast majority 35,000 people, they refused to go to Mizoram because in Mizoram they will not have any right to vote. So and one more thing is that they will again face a violent clash. So they were not happy to go to Mizoram again, and they wanted the government to give a land and other things legal status to settle only in Mizoram only. And this is what the like in Tirupura only, not in Mizoram. So Tirupura, these 35,000 communities are now currently agreed to settle, and government also has finalized the agreement, and that's what this author is discussing. As part of that, what happened is that those 5,000 communities who went and settled during the time period from 1997 to 2020, during this time period, they were actually given less remuneration as compared to these 35,000 communities. For them, government is going to give lot of benefits actually. As per the recent agreement, government has actually planned to give like a free land, as well as amounts up to 5 lakhs. But if you see those who settled in Mizoram state previously, they were given only 50,000 rupees, and that's why they are actually now protesting against the government to give them also a equal remuneration. Thank you friends, kindly subscribe to our channel. If you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section.